Hey everybody, Thomas here again with another Mosaic training video. In this one, I wanted to go over the assessment that I'm going to be using to kind of track my progress over the course of the whole program. And I want to be clear that this assessment should not be treated like one of those kind of 9C tests that are kind of, making the rounds right now. I don't want people to think that you should be able to convert this into how hard should I be climbing or anything like this. Really, in this case, it doesn't matter that much what exercise you're doing or what holds you're using for them or whatever. Just as long as you're consistent with what you are doing, so that you can compare, your current self against your past self, not to compare yourself against anybody else. So with that being said, I'm gonna try to do this about every 2 weeks or so. So let's just jump in and see what the exercises are that I'm gonna be using. So with this assessment, I wanted to be sure I could do as much of it as I possibly could at home, and then maybe with a few supplemental things at the gym. But you can see here I'm just doing a general warm-up, just some light push-ups, kneeling push-ups, some pull-ups and assisted pull-ups and whatnot. Um, then I'll go through, once my upper body feels fairly warm, and do some warm-up hangs. So these are just like really easy repeaters. So in this case, I'm doing 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off, and I just kind of go through and start off with some jugs and then do some slopers and then slowly lower the edge size. So I'm going like 20 mils and then down to 15 and then I go down to 12 and then I'm usually feeling pretty good at that point. I'll do a couple, you'll see a couple kind of warm-up hangs on the Beastmaker middle edge just to kind of get the one-armed version feeling pretty decent. And then I will get into the main grip strength test. So for these, for finger strength, I have chosen to do one-arm hangs on a 20 mil edge. This is a tension kind of simple board. And I found these edges to be the best, in my opinion, for this kind of one-arm hanging. They are like the perfect radius and just hard enough, but still doable for one arms, and they just feel pretty good. So in this first section, I'm trying to do basically as much weight as I can on one arm while being able to hold it for 5 seconds. So you see I started off in this case with 10 pounds, and that felt okay. So I went up to 8 pounds, or I guess down to 8 pounds taken off of my body weight here. And these ones were just kind of right at my limit. So you can see I'm just doing both sides, obviously, and then for each of these hangs, I'm taking a pretty long but measured break in between. So you can see, I took a little bit less than 3 minutes of a rest between the first one and the second one, and then basically between every hang. Normally I didn't do this, but I saw in one of Manny the Monkey's videos that he sort of times his hangs like this. And I thought it was just good to make sure that A, I'm resting enough, and B, that it's just a consistent thing. So after the half crimp hangs, I go on to 3-finger drag hangs, and these, I'll have to say, I am terrible at 3-finger drag. I don't know why. It always feels like I'm gonna, rip a tendon out of my wrist, but they've always felt really hard. So on these ones, I'm doing 25 pounds off of my body weight. And I found I actually use, you can see here, the middle Beastmaker rung for these. If for whatever reason it feels more comfortable for 3-finger drag hangs, the doing it on the straight edge makes my wrist feel even worse. So I'll have to figure out what's going on there. But hopefully as I work on these, they'll start to feel a bit stronger. But I got down to, you can see, 18 pounds taken off my body weight. And I think I just barely make it here, but it was definitely a struggle. So yeah, this one I'm hoping is going to be one of the aspects of the assessment that I see some serious improvement on when I do some more open-handed training. So with that one getting done, I'm kind of warming up for some future things too. Like you can see, I'm kind of warming up a bit more for front levers, which are coming. But next up are the micro edge hangs. So these are just homemade oak 6mm edges, and they're sharp as crap. Um, and yeah, a lot of it is to be honest, kind of pain tolerance. But I've heard there were some cool studies about like finger pulp, as gross of a term as that is, in terms of how you might be able to hang on to micro edges a little bit better, and how training that kind of thing can really help with small sharp crimps like this. So hopefully these will help. But I found after doing this a few times that the second hang on the micro edges don't really, I pretty much never do better on that one. So I think I'm going to actually replace that with hangs on the 45-degree slopers on the Beastmaker, because I'm pretty bad at that, and I'm going to be working on wrist strength. Here now I'm going on to levers. It's actually kind of nice to have a video of this, because I did not know how dog shit my lever form is. So I definitely need to work on that. It's one of those things that's really hard, even if you have a mirror in the gym and you're working on it, it's hard to like look at yourself while you're doing it. So anyway, this is something I'm going to work on. But this was mostly for my core work, to try to keep track of that and see if some of the more strength training stuff helps here. So you can see I'm about 18 minutes in. Now I'm going on continuing with the strength stuff, so I'm doing one-arm pull-ups, assisted one-arm pull-ups because I'm not that strong. And I'm doing it with 5 pounds taken off. Usually I'm a bit better at this. I felt kind of bad today, this day. And I tend to struggle with the bottom, with kind of breaking the dead hang in the one-arm pull-up. But I noticed here that I was having some hard time locking off at the top too. So I clearly need to work on kind of all aspects of it. But anyway, this is another good one, just to kind of feel it out. One-arm pull-ups, sometimes I do find that I do better on the second attempt. Just kind of get psyched up and get everything sort of more activated. But you can see this is kind of hitting the 20-minute mark in terms of the actual assessment, so still not too long of a time, which is another nice thing. I want to make sure that this isn't like a huge burden to have to do every couple of weeks, but that it's really just a fairly medium length, kind of like a hangboard workout almost in terms of time commitment. So you can see again, kind of kicking my way up there, not really getting very far, and I'm starting to do a little bit more stretching. The other part of this I wanted to do is just a 90-degree lock off, just to hang for time. I know there are some other kind of viral challenges going around about being able to eat a donut while locking off. And it just got me thinking, to kind of keep this as a test, just because I do feel like my shoulders in general give out a little bit more quickly than some other parts. So I'm just doing one iteration of these. Again, like the micro crimps, I don't really find that I get better on a second go. I just kind of use up all of my energy here. But yes, hopefully these start to feel a little bit stronger as well after training, doing maybe some weighted lock-offs and things like that. And then the last thing I want to do is measure my flexibility, because again, this is a horrible aspect of my climbing. So I'm doing hip flexibility, and I'm basically just measuring from the outside of one heel to the outside of the other. And I give myself a little bit of time just to kind of ease into it, but not a huge amount, not sitting there for like 5 minutes. And then the last one is just, simple forward fold hamstring, trying to keep my knees straight just to make sure that that's consistent, and then just measuring, and it doesn't look like I'm keeping them straight, but it feels like it. Then measuring from my fingertips to the floor to see if that gets any better. And that is the end of this home assessment. So like I said, I might swap out and do some sloper work, swap out the micro crimps for the slopers, but then I also think I'm going to add in some other things at the gym, like these, other benchmarks, like this power, campus board benchmark. One of those is like a 1.5, however far you can go. In that case, it was 7.5. And another one is going on the smaller rungs and doing one, however high you can go, and then back down, which I did a pretty bad job on that one. And then finally, these are a few kilter board problems that I picked out to kind of point out different weaknesses that I found. This first one, Zamba, it's not super hard, it's V8, but this first move is a really good contact strength move. And this next one, Trappin, is another one. It feels harder, another contact strength move, and just general power. But these I just want to come back to every once in a while and just see how it's feeling. This next one is another kind of contact strength with that first move. And there's just a lot of tension moving through it. You kind of have to keep your feet on, oddly positioned holds, and you can see awkward bicycle here. But this one feels like a pretty decent one. It doesn't feel miles away in terms of getting it, but it still feels like it's going to be hard. This one does kind of feel miles away in a way. It doesn't really show it here because I slip off early, but after getting this kind of tiny crimp Gaston, then you have to make a dynamic move out, which is going to be a good shoulder tester. This one is a very similar move, where you have to make this kind of long lock off and then bump it into, it's kind of hard to see, but into the undercling that's after this move where I fall, and then lock off again. And then this final one feels pretty close. I've gotten closer than this before, but it feels like a really good kind of strength endurance type problem. It's pretty long, and all of the moves are pretty hard and require a decent amount of body tension to actually get it. But anyway, so that is the full assessment. I'm going to be trying to keep track of that as we go through this whole experimental program, just to see, hopefully, what works and how much those individual aspects can be improved upon. But yeah, I'll keep you informed as to how this goes, and I'll let you know if there are any other changes, any tweaks that I make to the actual assessment. Yeah, hopefully that is helpful. If you have any other cool assessment, ideas for different aspects of climbing, certainly, comment below and all that stuff. I would be very interested to see if there's anything I'm missing or anything that I can add in. All right, thanks very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.